I always say to people, if you need a reason to get up in the morning, get a dog.
What's nice about that is, same with people, the energy of people transfers from one person to the other. If one person is happy, then that happiness is going to transfer to the other person. And it's the same with Ollie. Like, it's very difficult to be stressed when you've got Ollie jumping up at you as soon as I open the door.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm the founding director of Laws for Paws Vietnam. Today we're chatting with our good friend Mike D, who adopted Ollie off us. We also have Kelpie here, one of our recent rescues, who was actually a chain dog. So it's very important to tell her story about how she loves to run now with a leash.
Yeah, my name's Mike. I'm the CEO of Playstack, and I think the first time we met Elizabeth was about 2 years ago now.
Is it that long ago?
A year and a half.
It goes very quickly.
And as you mentioned, I adopted Ollie, and then you guys rescued him from the streets. He had a lot of very severe skin infections, and actually he had very little hair, because the skin infection, the hair just dropped out, so he was like bleeding all over his body and his legs. He's still got a couple of scars here, but he's doing a lot better now.
So today we're going to be doing an interview on the run, which is something new for us. I am not the same level as Mike when it comes to running, so bear with my jogging. I did run a lot when I was younger, mostly because I was a hyperactive child in the 80s who probably had ADHD or something like that, but there was no diagnosis for things like that. So what got you into running, Mike?
I think when I got Ollie about a year and a half ago, one thing about Ollie is he's very hyperactive. And so, you can walk him for 20, 30 minutes, but he'll want to just keep going. Then I started running maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I realized that Ollie also likes running. And so it makes sense that if Ollie likes running and I like running, then we should run together. And ever since, we run anywhere up to about 10, 15K, so not too long. And these roads, these back roads where the roads are closed, is just perfect. So yeah, the route that we'll be taking is probably the route that Ollie and I take relatively almost on a daily basis.
I have been to your apartment. I've seen your setup for business and work. How do you feel having pets at home has helped with your mental health when you are someone that, for many years, I ran my own businesses and was working from home or working from small offices just by myself. And I have to say, when coming home to pets or having pets at home made such a big difference to my mental health, because you are alone all day or for a large portion of the day. So how do you think running, having Ollie and having pets when you're a sole business owner has helped your mental health?
Yeah, it's an interesting point, because with Ollie, he's always happy, he's always energetic. And so if I'm stressed at the end of the day, maybe it's been a hard day at work, I know that I can come home and Ollie will always be greeting me as soon as I get home. And what's nice about that is, same with people, the energy of people transfers from one person to the other. If one person is happy, then that happiness is going to transfer to the other person. And it's the same with Ollie. It's very difficult to be stressed when you've got Ollie jumping up at you as soon as I open the door. So it's very nice to come home to Ollie and my other cats as well. I'm quite lucky in that they're all very loving and they like the attention.
I always say to people, if you need a reason to get up in the morning, get a dog, because they really rely on you for their physical and mental health as well. It really does give you a sense of purpose having a pet, especially having a dog. And as you said, they're always happy to see you. I retired when I was 50 and have pretty much put all of my efforts into Laws for Paws Vietnam since then. Sales techniques, marketing techniques. I'm not saying that I'm great at social media. I did it for a long time by myself before I got a team. Few people did give me advice. One was my husband. And he said to me, you cannot have this mission alone. You will have to bring in other people. And I've always been a bit of a solo practitioner. I've always been a bit you can only rely on yourself to get things done. Obviously, that's not realistic in business or in NGO sphere as well. So I brought in teams, and I have a marketing team now. I have all of these people underneath me, because I will probably retire in the next 3 to 4 years when I hit 60. And I want this organization to keep going the same way as I think people like yourself who create businesses want those businesses to keep going when maybe you retire or maybe you move on. How do you feel that what you do can have an ethical impact on organizations as well?
So at Playstack, we've got 3 kind of core values. The first one is integrity, the second one is excellence, and the third is impact at scale. And I think that's something that social media is able to do. And I've been a content creator since 2016, and what I like about that is that I can post a video, I can talk to my camera for 8 minutes, and then I can post it online, and then suddenly so many people from all corners of the world can see that content, and you have quite a bit of influencer, hence the name influencer. That's such an underrated skill set that a lot of businesses have, or don't have rather. Our clients actually are not in Vietnam. Most of our clients are based in the US, in Europe, in Canada, Australia, and that's because, or one of the reasons is because our social media presence is quite strong, and most of our audience is in the West. And what's nice there is what's called geo arbitrage, where you're based in a relatively affordable country, but then your clients are coming in from the US, from more developed countries that have a lot more purchasing power. And I think that is really important. And then going back to the first value, integrity, a perfect example of this would be when just 2 or 3 months ago, I went to Bình Dương. There's a company, an Australian company, a cycling company called Jet Black Cycling. They have a factory in Bình Dương. And we met for the first time. I met with the founder, and we were talking for a good 2-3 hours. But what was nice there is that our values really match almost perfectly. For Playstack, our first value is integrity. Their first value was integrity. They were doing so much sustainable work. And I think in a corporate world where goals and KPIs are also money driven, I think it's so important when making these partnerships, at least for me, and I'm sure a lot of businesses that I work with, the integrity side of it and, giving back, I think that is so important, and it's often forgotten about in this day and age, unfortunately. So me and that company, we have a partnership now because, number one, we got on well together. Number two, our values really aligned. And number three, I love their products. It's the integrity and the kind of mutual values that we share really built that connection.
So even for us, when it comes to the dogs, we need to consider who we are aligning with. Obviously, people offer us support in certain ways. And I think it can't all just be about taking money from people. You have to make sure that what they're doing aligns with your values and your organization's values. We're very lucky to work with some small businesses here in Vietnam, for example, Paws Vietnam, who make these leashes and harnesses, etc. They're a lovely young couple running a small business. They've been great supporters of us, even though they are not by any means any type of millionaire company. However, they've done a collaboration with us and they share those profits with us.
I feel like a lot of companies, they feel like they're too small to help. And that's something, like Playstack is a relatively new company. We co-founded the company 2.5 years ago. And for quite a while, we was just so focused on, okay, when we get to X monthly recurring revenue, then we'll start doing charity. But that number just kept going up and up and up, and I was almost procrastinating. And then I remember one of my friends, his business suddenly, like a startup, suddenly started doing really well. And within the first 1 or 2 months, he was like, I'm going to help this charity, I'm going to help that charity, and just straight away, like he was helping. And that kind of really inspired me in like, why am I putting this off? Why am I waiting until the next milestone, because that's a never-ending goal that you're never going to really hit.
I'm running here today with Mike and Ollie. So my days of running like a canyon are well and truly over, but I do still enjoy getting out with the shelter dogs for a run. So Mike, how often are you and Ollie running?
Together we're running about twice a week. He's actually quite a good runner. He can do about 10-15k, and then after that he starts to slow down. So this is the first time that I've met Kelpie.
Actually, Kelpie first came to my attention last November. She was crippling and being kept on a chain at a cafe nearby to the shelter. And I was talking to the owners about her, and they said she was just about to give birth, so they had brought her there to the cafe so it didn't mess up their house. And I just kept going back and talking to them about what it means to have a dog, taking them for a walk. And eventually I wore them down and they gave her to me, I think 6 weeks ago now, to rehome. So she actually has been through the rescue. She's in the rehabilitation stage now, where she's learning to walk on a leash, live in a home, and eventually we'll find her a new loving family.
Okay, thanks very much, Mike and Ollie, for joining us on the run today. It's been great chatting with you, and I hope everybody is going to enjoy our videos.
Thank you so much for having me, Elizabeth. How can people get involved, or how can business owners get involved with Laws for Paws?
We do have a website, and on that website there is a lot of information regarding corporate partnerships. Also, there is a section on how to volunteer with the organisation. There's a donation page as well, and of course we have a fantastic adoption page where you can meet all the dogs, read about their stories. I will give a bit of a shout out to Paws Vietnam, who are one of our collaborators that supply us with leashes and harnesses and also share their profits with us as well.
And on my side, I mean, my team have been amazing. One of the reasons why Playstack are collaborating with Laws for Paws is because I feel like in the business landscape, decisions are made just very strategically. They're all about, okay, what decision can increase KPIs or increase growth the fastest. Whereas with charity work, it's a lot more about making decisions with your heart. And one thing about our company is we've got maybe 30-ish people, and almost all of them have at least one cat or at least one dog.
I love that.
So I can't even think of one employee that doesn't have a pet. And so for us, it's not just, one of my values that I really love animals, but it's also a company value as well. And it's also so nicely in line with Laws for Paws, in that Vietnam is a country that really needs more support when it comes to how dogs are treated, how other animals are treated. And so we can totally get on board. And thank you for allowing us to.
Well, we thank you very much for your support, and hopefully we can do another On the Run with Mike in the future.